First of all, I would like to thank the HLPE for their report, which is very concise. And now I will move to the conversation that we are having, which is promoting youth engagement and employment in agriculture and food systems. And I would like to deal with the social problems that the youth are facing, the solutions, and our expectations from this policy process. And from the problems I would just like to tackle, I would like to highlight them in case I don't have time to go through all of them. This is the issue of youth unemployment, which has been tackled very well. The issue of rural to urban migration of young people, the transformation of the social and the political spheres, gender equity, especially now when we talk about the women equation, and also the issue of binary, non-binary, which is brought about by capitalism, and also the systems of oppression that the young people are facing, and also the COVID-19, which is something that we cannot forget to talk about because it is affecting us. And first of all, I would like to start by saying that the issues that are facing young people are facing young people the world over. And of course, the engagement of the young people is a very important thing. One of the things I'd like to start by talking about is the issue of youth unemployment, which has been tackled very well by the HLPE report and the speakers who came before me. And we see that for a lot of young people, they do not have employment the world over. And this is a global crisis that affects young people in all variants. When you talk about young people, it is not, young people are not monolithic, but we look at young people as a class variant and a gender variant, which have also been mentioned. The high degree of alienation for young people, which is economic, which is social, which is political, it is cultural, and it is mediatic, is common of the model of neoliberal capitalism. And its consequences of the very system are the relations of domination. So in order to increase the capital's profit, this system needs to exploit and expropriate without limiting the people's subjectivity. When we talk about youth unemployment, we see a lot of rural to urban migration where young people are looking for better opportunities and they do not participate in agriculture because of very many things, probably finances, probably the issue of land. And of course, land is a very big issue because a lot of young people are not able to own land in which they are able to participate in their agricultural activities. And because of this, we see a lot of rural to urban migration where the young people are looking for better opportunities or any opportunities to be able to earn a living. And I think the best solution to this is to have land that is not appropriated to individuals, because in a lot of the countries in the world, we find a lot of individuals who own large tracts of land. So young people are unable to own land to even participate in these agricultural activities. So what do we want as young people? We want land that is not appropriated to businessmen and to people for profit, but land that is owned by the government and it can be given out to these young people for profitability and for them to be able to participate in these agricultural systems. And the only way in which this can happen is if we participate in scientific socialism. Another issue I'd like to tackle when it comes to the youth is the transformation of the social and the political sphere, where young people are engaged in the governance process. And especially when you talk about young people, I want to bring the demographic of women into this. The world over, we see a lot of political, ideological oppression, where the representation of young people in governance and in making policies that are affecting them is not regarded. And and especially when it comes to women, because of social cultural oppression or environmental oppression, they're not in governance structures to be able to come up with these policies, and not just come up with policies, but for these policies to be able to implement. As the CFS, we sit, and I'm very happy to be here to give my pointers on what should happen to the young people. But the biggest thing that should happen is that there should be an implementation of what we are doing on the ground. There should be a change on what the CFS is doing for the young people. And when you talk about the young people, I've spoken about this not being a monolithic thing, but it is a variant. It's a variant of class, and it is a variant of gender. And it is a variant of, you know, the LGBTQ that we see every day, and the binary and non-binary lens that we are given to look at the world into. And of course, this affects the young people, because in the world today, there's a lot of things happening, and the lenses of, you know, binary and non-binary, the LGBTQI social issues that are affecting the young people are affecting their engagement, even in food systems and in agriculture. Another thing I would like to deal with is the issue of the systems of oppression that young people are facing in the world over. I've mentioned some of them, but political and ideological oppression, which works under the premise of reconciling the demands of the capitalist accumulation with the necessary legitimization of the neoliberal order. And it uses a traditional discourse of human rights, of justice, of political freedom, and the exercise of citizenship, which is a radical ethic of the isolated individual. And when we talk about class, we see that even for young people, we have the peasants and we have the workers. And of course, we have also young people who have access to land and to a lot of resources. So basically what we want to do is to integrate, especially the peasants and the workers, and the class issue that affects the young people, that these ones who are not able to get resources, then, you know, they're able to be integrated into the society. And to my final point is that we want an alternative model, which, you know, is the link of the sustainability of life. And especially when we talk about food security and agricultural systems, we're talking about sustainability of life, and that should be our first concern. Of nutrition of, you know, the people. So what is the alternative model that we're looking at? So I'll mention a few links, and the first one is nature, which alone is not capable of directly satisfying all the needs for the sustainability of human lives. So the processes of social and cultural and technological mediation materially transform nature into goods and services that satisfy the life's needs. The second link is the domestic space that we have, where the daily work necessary for the production of life is carried out, and the great tasks of care and attention that are carried out between one generation and another, especially through women and the young people, produce the goods and services necessary for the sustainability of life and for human beings to be active agents in the society. And this also includes the dimensions of subjectivity, the body, and sexuality. The third link is the community, the environment where the relations of proximity and those within neighborhoods or rural communities occur, in addition to those relations that, as a result of technological development, are not necessarily defined by territorial proximity, such as groups which are formed by people who share common values. So the importance of recognizing community relations has to do with the affirmation that although capitalistic relations are hegemonic at the present time in society, and despite the strength of the state and the market, there are other types of ties and relationships between people and groups that are based on the notion of goods and values, even though some of these relations are crisscrossed by contradictions of gender and of race and of class relations. Another thing is that the states are the fourth link in the alternative that we want. And in the chain of sustainability, their rules and regulations guarantee the functioning of the market in addition to the interfering of all social relations. So the link is articulated with the market, which constitutes the fifth link in the chain. And markets are characterized by the production of goods and services, and especially if you're talking about agricultural goods, and services, where work is mediated by money. So in market societies, it is practically impossible to satisfy human needs without doing so through the capitalist market. So the market predates capitalism, but in this system, it has become so widespread that the motivation for profit takes the precedence over the conditions of a dignified life for people, and it transforms them into instruments at the service of the economy. And especially if you're talking about young people being transformed into instruments as at the service of the economy. I think I would like to end there. And just to urge this process that we are going through, that to be able to provide alternatives and solutions for the young people on the ground, and for the young people who are not just monolithic, but first of all, a class and a gender variant. And when we look at these things that are affecting young people, then we will be able to move forth together. Thank you so much for your time. And to thank again the HLPE for their report and all the speakers who came before me. Thank you.